Hey guys, today I'm going to be reloading a 44 Magnum cartridge. It's a standard load, and we're going to be doing it on a Dillon 550 progressive press. And let's get started. And what we got here is just a standard load for 44 Magnum, 240 grain. It's a lead cast bullet, hard cast bullet, and loaded with 800X from Hodgson. High shock, it's pretty good stuff. On a progressive press, you've got 4 stages. That's your 4 stages here on top. And on the first one here, you've got a decapper and a resizer. It'll resize your case after it's been cleaned. You don't have to clean them, but to me, you gotta clean them to get the residue out of them. On the second part of the press, the second stage, it charges your case, and then it'll flare the opening so it'll accept a bullet. So it'll slide in there. It just barely flares it. It depends on how you set it, but you just want to barely flare it so it's easy to get it in there. And then on your third part of your stage, that will actually seat your bullet to the proper depth. Like I say, you've got to set your dies to the right calibration. Then on the fourth part of the fourth stage of the press, that will do the crimp. After you get your bullet seated, you've got to crimp the edge to keep the bullet from either coming out or going in deeper in the case. The deeper it goes in the case, the higher the pressure is going to be. You've got to get it where it's supposed to be by the specs and lock it in place. Now the first thing we want to do, you want to take a case, slide it into the first part of the station here. It's a little tab right there. It'll hold your case in. Bring your lever all the way down. You can hear it deprime the case. That resized the case. And you can see on it, it's removed the primer. And then what I'll do, once I get the primer removed, I'll come back to my neutral position, then I'll push it forward. That's seated my primer. You can see a new primer in it. I installed my new primer. That case is ready to be loaded. After you get that in that station, what you want to do is got a star here, you want to rotate it. That brings that case around to my priming station. But in the meantime, you want to take another case and put it in your starting with your resizing and your decapper. And what that'll do, when I bring the lever down, it'll size this one and prime it, and this one, then it'll charge my case and flare my opening all at the same time. You can watch the powder charge go up here. That's loading up my powder. Go all the way down. That's got my powder in it, and when it gets to the top, that flares out my throat of my case to accept my bullet. And go forward, and I'll prime my case. Now what you want to do, rotate it. Whenever you're first getting started, you want to check your weight of your charge. You want to get a little scale. I've got it set to grains. What you want to do is take your case, put it on your scale. It's got a tare button. You want to zero it out. That brings that weight now back to 0 with the case on it. I've got my case charged. Now I want to take my case back over here, put it on my scale. We're supposed to be at 12 grains or 12.1. That's not bad. That's the only disadvantage you've got to automatic feed, you'll get approximately the right grain weight. It's going to vary sometimes 1 or 2 point grains one way or the other. Only way you're going to get a very accurate grain weight is just do it by hand, which I do all my rifles that way. I do it on a single stage press. I think they're more accurate, which a hand load this way is pretty decent. I'm going to start another case over here in the first station. My deprimer, resizer. Now what you want to do is take a bullet and put it in your third station. Try to get it in there kind of straight. Now we're going to deprime and prime it, resize it, put my powder in my case, and then I'm going to seat my bullet here all into one step. That deprimed it, you can hear it click. And that should have reprimed it, and it did. And that seated my bullet. It set it down to my right depth. And then what you want to do once you get it set to the right depth, you can double check your measurements with a caliber. Supposed to be 1.645. Now, man, that's right on the money. That's set to the proper depth. And you can also see the mouth is still flared open. The next stage will set the crimp on it. That'll lock the bullet in place. So what we want to do next, we'll rotate our star again, advance all our rounds in the next station. I'll take a little mirror, double check, make sure I've got powder in my case before I set my bullet in it. You don't have to do that, but I've always done that just in case. Try to set it up there kind of straight. It'll sit there. Well, then you want to take another case and then rotate your handle down. That did all 4 steps at one time. Now what I want to do is advance my stations again, and the bullet will discharge into the hopper. It does it automatic. Put another bullet on it. Get you another case set up. Like I say, in just a matter of a few minutes, you can load several rounds. Don't have to check the prime charge in your third station. I always like to make sure it's got powder in it. Just makes me feel better knowing I've got powder in it. I always double check my case. Always looking to make sure I don't have a live primer in it. You do not want to discharge, decap this with a live primer in it. sideways. See, I want to make sure it's got the little dot on the primer showing it's been shot. When you're first starting out, if you want to get into reloading, I would start out with a single stage press. That's what this is right here. It's just a single operation. Does one station at a time. Like I say, once you get set up on this press, man, you can really turn out some ammo. And the good thing about a progressive press is, especially with the Dillon, you can get different heads for it. These heads, I've already got my dies set up. That's 44 Magnum. These are 44 Special. All I got to do is change my heads out. And what you've got here on the Dillon press, you can change these heads out. Just pull these pins out, disconnect this arm. You can change the whole head out. Right here I got a complete unit. This is for a 45 ACP. And dies are already set up. All I gotta do is slide that one out, slide this one in, hook my activation rod for my primer, and change calibers. But you need to watch, you got the different size tubes that go in your priming station. All your primers go in here. I think it holds 100 primers at a time. And you can see I cast my own bullets on my pistol. I do some on my rifles, on my 45-70 government. I'll cast those, because man, those are big bullets. Usually on my rifles, I'll just buy a bullet. I don't like using lead in a rifle. It's hard on it. 45-70, it's such an old rifle, and the barrel's made for lead. And my M1 Garand, I'll use a jacketed bullet on it too, 150 grain. That's just your standard load. My 30-aught, I mean my 30 carbine, I'll use lead on it for the most part. You can see here, just a matter of about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I've done reloaded 20 rounds. I mean, that's the way to go right there. That's the way to go right there, man. You can shoot them, clean them, resize them, reload them, and you're ready to go again. You can do a round probably, like, depending on the case, depending on how hot you load them. If you load them hot, your case is not going to last as long. They just use a standard round, standard loads. Hey guys, I appreciate you watching.